This is a KMIR special news coverage of President Obama in the Valley.
Here it is.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gino Lamont at Palm Springs International Airport as we wait the arrival, the fourth presidential visit from President Obama. Joining me is KMIR News political analyst Hank Plant. Hank, let's talk about this visit as the president just now entering our airspace for the fourth time in 2 years. What does that tell you about that?
It tells me he loves it here. He absolutely loves it here, and it tells me he's probably going to buy a house here. That's my prediction, sometime in the next 2 years. He loves to play golf. As you know, he played golf in July, he played golf in August,
yeah.
And so we're going to be seeing a lot more of him and the First Lady. I think it's so great for the Valley.
Yeah, and we talked about it last night. The town itself, just white hot as far as tourism. I mean, every hotel room for a 100-mile circle around the Valley sold out.
You were the one who was saying that this weekend the population in the Valley
nearly doubles.
It doubles.
Nearly doubles,
right.
Yeah.
Between Modernism Week and Valentine's Day and the presidential visit, and I know I'm leading the bike races.
Sure.
So I'm leaving out probably
the Day Festival, and there's all kinds of things going on.
Right.
Let's talk about the president's previous visits a little bit. His first one in 2013, 112 degrees in June. He was meeting the Chinese president.
And what did he say when he got off the plane? He walked down to the bottom of the stairs. The dignitaries met him and he said, "What time does it get dark? I want to play some golf."
That's right. So we know he loves the golf. So 2 serious visits, 2 presidential visits, and then 2 a president on vacation.
Right. And you know, this is really exciting. We're out here at Palm Springs International Airport. We're up on the press riser. Air Force One is about to land behind us. There's a camera outside the airport which will catch the shot of the plane as it comes in. He was in San Francisco this morning. They kept moving. Here's our shot of the sky. We'll see if we can catch the plane.
Yeah, we've got Air Force One now entering Palm Springs airspace. And again, some of the precautions taken when Air Force One is landing, especially at a smaller airport like this. Talk to us a little about the security you've seen over the years taken in airplanes really all over the world where you've been covering the president.
Yeah, they put him in a bubble, and it is disruptive. But one of the reasons that the Secret Service likes Palm Springs is that it is so much less disruptive here than it is in a city like Los Angeles or Chicago, which he goes to frequently. I mean, they close off our streets here, but it's only for a few minutes while he's coming and going. Yeah, it's very exciting. I've spent a lot of time around the Secret Service. They always talk about their feet.
Yeah.
They always want to talk about their shoes and their feet.
Sure.
Because they're on their feet all day long, and they're always swapping shoe stories. But what a thrill for the Valley to have this kind of a presidential visit. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, and this one, unlike the other trips, especially the last time he came when he brought the whole family, we had a pretty good idea where they were staying and what the plans were. This one is being kept a little more quiet about, frankly, what the president's plans are.
We think that he is staying at the Rancho Mirage home of Michael Smith, who is the White House decorator, and his partner James Costos, who is the ambassador to Spain. Costos is a former executive vice president at HBO, and they raised $3.4 million for Obama's re-election campaign and his first campaign. That's how you become an ambassador.
Right.
You raise $3.5 million. Let's. We're seeing the plane here, I think, a little bit on the screen.
It's coming in. It's still pretty far out, and that's the one thing we've certainly noticed with the 3 previous presidential visits is that Air Force One, it comes in fairly low, but it comes in fast, and they get them out of the sky in a hurry and down onto the runway as they get the president in his limousine. And really, he doesn't linger much in the sky above town or, frankly, in his car. They get him moving.
You know, the interesting thing about, first of all, any plane that the president is on is Air Force One.
Right.
That's the designation. So the title goes with the person, not with the aircraft. But the interesting thing to me about Air Force One is I have flown on the White House press plane, which follows it. It is one of the only aircraft in America that flies in a straight line. When you and I get on a plane to go somewhere, it takes a circuitous route. And but Air Force One flies in a straight line, and so it gets there a lot quicker than commercial aircraft do.
That's right.
And what a magnificent plane it is. I mean, it's a 777-200 series Boeing. The president's quarters are 4,000 square feet, over 3 levels in the front of the plane. There are 2 galleys that can feed 100 people. It's built to withstand a magnetic pulse if it has to. And so to go from there to the car, the Beast, which we'll see, the big Cadillac Beast, is, I think, quite an experience. I mean, pretty amazing.
And just this week, apparently, Secret Service put in an order for a new Air Force One, which won't be ready during this president's term, but it will be ready for the next president.
Right. There are actually two. There are actually two planes, and they keep them moving around, so they keep them handy, just as there's more than one presidential limousine. In fact, the whole fleet of presidential cars is 45 vehicles. We're not going to see that many here in Palm Springs. They don't need it. But there are two Beasts, and there are two Air Force Ones.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the presidential visit, though. When he came here the first time, I remember we sort of joked it was 112 in June, which is warm even by our standards. Right. And we joked, take a good look at the president, we're never going to see him again. But there's just some people that the second they come to the desert fall in love with the hot, dry heat, with the mountains, and certainly for a golfer, the golf courses. You moved out here voluntarily. You're one of those people that love this desert heat.
I really do. I don't even golf. But now remember, he grew up in Hawaii, which is, a little different. But there's so many similarities to our weather, to our scenery, palm trees and swimming pools. And so, this I'm sure really appeals to him. And also, when you look at the weather that's happening in the rest of the country today, including his political base, Chicago.
Sure.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be right here? Yeah.
Yeah, you had to figure this was an easy call to make with our 85-degree temperatures in February.
I don't know if the First Lady is as crazy about it. She came here 2 of the last 4 visits. She got off the plane, her heels stuck in the tarmac, and one of the dignitaries meeting her said, you got to keep moving around. That's one of the first things that women learn when they move to the desert. You got to keep moving around. Your heels are going to stick in the cement of the tarmac.
All right, so once again, we're looking at Air Force One, which is now in Palm Springs. And again, we've been through this. This is our 4th time with this president, but certainly Air Force One itself, no stranger to Palm Springs. I guess my earliest memory, my first memory would be John Kennedy coming here and being met by Frank Bogert right out here on the tarmac in Palm Springs.
Yeah. Presidential visits here in the Valley go back probably to 1929. We think that Herbert Hoover came here. Of course, Dwight Eisenhower loved this place, and he golfed at Thunderbird, which is where President Obama might be staying.
Yeah, he lived at El Dorado.
And of course, President Clinton comes here all the time. You've been with him here on his visits. President Reagan would come every New Year's Eve to the party at the Annenbergs. President Kennedy came and maybe met Marilyn Monroe here, so the rumors go.
Yep, and both Bush presidents were here as well.
Right.
Because once again, golfers.
And of course, you've got to mention the beloved Gerald Ford and Betty Ford, who was just an icon, the two of them.
And Ronald Reagan every year came out for New Year's.
Right.
They had a big party with Walter and Lenore Annenberg. Yeah. And then, of course, played a round of golf on New Year's Day. And I can't think, if you're president, there's a better way to spend the day.
Oh, yeah. Here it is. Look at this magnificent plane. I mean, talk about an upgrade, Gino.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about an upgrade.
And, this is not a huge airport. Obviously, it can handle a 747 landing.
Right.
But it's not nothing when a plane this size tries to land in a smaller airport.
Right. We're lucky. It's just big enough to handle a jet like this. Those of us who live here know that when you're usually on a plane like this, a 777-200, you're leaving on a little plane out of Palm Springs and then hooking up with a plane like this in LA or San Francisco or Denver, and then going maybe overseas or wherever people go on vacations.
All right, well, as we watch Air Force One come in, let's talk about the timing of this visit. Obviously, if a president only took vacation when everything was calm all over the world, he'd never leave the White House.
Well, there is criticism, of course, that there's a lot going on in the world right now, and should he be taking vacations? I think you could probably say that about any president. My feeling is give him a break. He works hard. It's 7 days a week, 24/7, and he is still president. All the communications gear comes with him. He's getting his daily briefings when he's here. He's going to veg out and enjoy himself, but
they don't really have a day off, do they?
I don't think so. I mean, that's one of the things you hear when you cover a presidential campaign, as hard as it is, when you see them out there on the campaign trail. We're coming into it now with Iowa and New Hampshire, is that as hard as that is, running for president, your hardest day on the campaign trail is your easiest day when you're president. Right. I mean, that is the toughest job in the world.
Yeah, and it's funny, I've often wondered about that too, in that you see them push so hard during the campaign.
Right.
It really is kind of a good testing ground for whether or not you can withstand what it takes.
It really
to
is.
be in the White
It's a
House.
vetting process. I remember asking this president, Mr. Obama, when he was Senator Obama, I said to him, listen, I've been following you for 10 days. I followed him through Iowa, New Hampshire, and wherever he went after that. I said, I've been following you for 10 days. I'm exhausted. How do you do it? And he said, I have to go to the gym every night.
Yep.
I got to watch what I eat. I try to get sleep. I try to take cat naps. He's got to, they've got to take care of themselves. Let's just pause and look at this beautiful arrival.
Yeah, it
Because
is an
look at that.
amazing
It is
sight.
magnificent.
Air Force One touching down right now in Palm Springs. Absolute perfect landing.
I never get tired of this. I never get tired of seeing this.
And you've covered presidents going all the way back to what, Nixon?
Yeah, I've interviewed 5 presidents, and I used to live in Washington, and I would see motorcades, and I'd see Marine One all the time and Air Force One, but I got to tell you, I just never get tired of it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it doesn't indeed. Okay, so they circle around now, and
Yeah.
they will pull right over to in front of where we are in the next couple of minutes. The motorcade is now making its way into this area,
Right.
and we'll begin to see the president taxi over here.
Now, behind us, where we're standing up on this platform, we see California Highway Patrol vehicles, and Mayor Steve Pugnier of Palm Springs is here to greet the president, which is a good thing.
All right, and while the president's taxiing
Here we go.
in, let's look at some of the previous visits. There's
Yeah, this
the
is
last
file
visit.
tape, right.
Yeah, this is the last visit there. You're just looking at when the president did bring the first family with him, but his other 3 trips, he's come by himself. Let's talk about the first one. We met the Chinese premier there.
Yeah.
Obviously, probably the second most powerful leader in the world, meeting with our president.
Right.
How important do you think that meeting was, and especially that it happened here in the desert?
Yeah, well, I think it's important because let's face it, China is an emerging world power, and for the Chinese premier to see what we have here in the desert, I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. I mean, hopefully he'll be a trading partner. It'd be great if desert area businesses could do trade with China.
Yeah. And the thing is, he'd said early on in his presidency, he wanted to focus as much as possible on Asia. That
Right.
Asia has the biggest emerging markets.
Right.
India and China, obviously world powers just based on sheer volume.
Yeah.
And
It's an interesting role, too, for Sunnylands because that was really the first kind of summit under the new Sunnylands. And the Annenbergs, when they left that property, they really wanted Sunnylands to be used in this way for conferences and for presidential summits.
Right, and so that was a multi-purpose visit. One, it did bring back Sunnylands to exactly what it was when it was built by Walter Annenberg as
Right.
a retreat for presidents and world dignitaries where they could meet, relax a little bit, but also get some of the serious work done.
It's an amazing place. If people haven't done the tour, I really would encourage people to do the tour. It's an incredible place.
It's an amazing tour. Now, on the president's second trip, he met with King Abdullah
Right.
of Jordan.
Right.
That friendship was forged here in the desert on that second trip of the president's,
Mm-hmm.
and right now, that friendship really coming into play.
Yeah, especially right now when you consider what's happening in the Middle East. Jordan, of course, one of our allies in that part of the world. When King Abdullah was here, he got out. He had lunch out in Palm Desert along El Paseo, and he met people. And in fact, the restaurant where he had lunch, the owner was there and said, "Do you want me to shoo people away? Do you want kind of a ring of privacy?" He said, No. He sat there with his group he was traveling with. He ordered a hamburger, and because I was in there a couple of days later, and the owner was still, just boasting about it, as well he should. So King Abdullah got out and met people. Of course, he has his stepmother is American, from Houston, Texas, the Queen Noor. And so he has a real fondness for America. And he went to Georgetown, so he's very familiar with our country.
Yeah, not quite as easy, though, for the president to get around. Now, they haven't gone any place public, at least that I was aware of. They've gone, of course, to Larry Ellison's place for a party and a round of golf on his beautiful course there.
You predicted that last time when he.
Well,
we all wondered where he was going to go play golf.
Yeah.
And you said Porcupine.
I did, because Annenberg is a beautiful course, but the fact is he'd played it 3-4 times.
And it's only 9 holes. You can play it as 18, but it's only 9 holes.
Right, and any avid golfer, as this president clearly is, if you've got something like Larry Ellison's Porcupine Creek available to you, and it's a mile away, that's a trip that I think
Yeah.
any president, and certainly any golfing president,
Right.
is going to make. All right.
All right, now the plane is now coming into our view here. We had the shot before as it was coming in for a landing, and it was taxiing around on the tarmac,
Yeah, making
and
its
we're just
way.
seconds away from seeing it here.
Now, I find it really interesting as well that with each trip, it seems to be a little less fuss about the visit. You were in D.C., where obviously it comes and goes all the time. You're in
Yeah.
San Francisco, Los Angeles, where they
Right.
get a lot of visits. Does it become less of a thrill in a place where it's more frequent? Because the receiving line is Mayor Pounier. His
Well-
first trip, there was like 40 dignitaries out there.
And last time there was nobody. It was kind of an embarrassment. There were no public officials to meet him last time, and I think that was an oversight, to be honest with you, among local officials. Today, yes, Mayor Pounier is here today. I guess people do get a little jaded. I certainly don't.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
an
when you look
incredible
at
sight.
this aircraft, I mean, how could you get jaded? Look at this thing.
All right, Air Force One now taxiing right in front of us here, and you can begin to hear it. And it is quite a sight. You're absolutely right, Hank.
Magnificent, absolutely magnificent.
And they made
Flying first class won't ever feel the same.
San Francisco, they left maybe an hour ago.
Yeah, he was up in San Francisco, did a fundraiser in Silicon Valley, spent the night up there.
Now, as he comes off, we'll see the motorcade make its way right to the side of the plane. And because this is not an official visit, this is strictly recreational, the president probably going to make a pretty quick trip out of here.
I would think so.
Now, we have also seen a helicopter that is here. A helicopter.
Marine One.
Yeah. Should he get on it?
Yeah.
Right.
Marine One is here, which I don't think they brought that in the past. I don't know why it's here this time, because we think that he's staying in Rancho Mirage at Thunderbird Heights, at the home of the White House decorator, Michael Smith.
Right. But it wouldn't be terribly surprising if he decided, with such a busy weekend out here and so many other events,
Yeah.
for them just to put him on a helicopter
Well,
and take him over.
That's true. That's absolutely true. You know, they fly the limo out ahead of time. It has its own plane, the Beast,
Yeah.
and that came in, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, and in the past we've seen it too. It comes in Wednesday, Thursday before his weekend visit, and it's in place long before the president himself arrives. And there is 2 units, just like you described with Air Force One. So
Right.
wherever his next stop is where the next unit would be, right?
Yeah, the car is amazing. Hopefully we'll see it in a second. All right, here comes the motorcade. First CHP, and then Secret Service vehicles. Look at the all the gear on top of these cars. It's
And that
amazing.
was what was surprising with the last visit, because it was strictly recreation with the family. No presidential limousine with the flags. They were in SUVs.
Oh, is that right?
So I thought that was a little unusual. It's certainly a striking difference from the first 2 visits, where it was very formal and it was official presidential business. So we had 3 limousines, all with the presidential seal and the American flag
I
on
see.
it. So this appears to be similar to last time.
He
in
does.
that it's
He
gonna
does
be-
occasionally ride in SUVs,
it looks
but
like-
they like to keep him in the limo. I think mostly for security. It has 8 inches of reinforcement on the doors and on the metal around the car.
All right, so coming off the back of the plane now would be who?
Well, this would be, you know, some of it is his staff, but also traveling pool.
And how much contact
right.
would they have with the president?
Let's take a look here, because the look left.
Yeah,
We've got the ramp being wheeled in.
right.
I think this is going to go fairly quickly.
Well, I think so too. Now, originally planned as an 11:55 touchdown, became a 11 o'clock touchdown, and
Right.
then moved to 9:55. They're actually, I think, even ahead of that schedule. I see golf clubs being put in back of one of the black SUVs.
You have a good
over
eye,
there.
Gino.
Those are golf clubs
You have a
going
good
in.
eye.
So I'm guessing this guy's got a 10:15 someplace.
Yeah.
And he's ready to hit the
Oh,
links.
he wanted to be here. Mayor Pounier now approaching the bottom of the ramp.
Right.
And on the right is a Secret Service escort with the mayor.
All right, so we're expecting the president momentarily to step off Air Force One. And again, I'm not kidding. There was a set of clubs put in the back of one of the black limousines.
That's terrific.
The arrival time, originally scheduled 11:55, touchdown was 9:45. I think this is a president who is ready to get some sun on his shoulders and a little grass under his feet.
You bet he is, yeah.
All right.
Now, the traveling White House press pool is on the tarmac, and they roll. They always roll.
44th President of the United States.
Looking very casual.
Yes. First time we've seen him without a sport coat.
A quick salute. Hello to the mayor.
So just on the other side of the SUV there.
Yep. He's not traveling in the Beast. He's traveling in I think it's a Chevy SUV.
I think he's got a golf shirt in the car. I think he's going straight to the course.
He looks pretty cash, doesn't he?
And again, still no exact word on where the president will be staying because this is not an official visit, but vacation for the leader of the free world.
Well, you know, he changed on that plane in his 4,000 square foot presidential suite.
That's right.
Because he arrived in khakis and a blue shirt. That's exactly what I'm wearing. He's got the Palm Springs look going.
Yeah.
I don't see any of his staff or his, well, there he is.
Yeah, there's the president.
A big wave.
Looks like he's going to do some handshaking.
Is he?
Yeah, he's got some folks over here I think he's going to come say hello to. And we're going to try to get in a position where we can see him do a little bit of a meet and greet.
Wow.
As president here making his 4th trip to the Valley.
Well, this is exciting.
It looks like we've got some families that have gathered to meet with the president. And he's going to shake their hands.
This is exciting.
And exchange a few words. That the doctor friend of yours is over there right now.
Oh, my doctor, Edmund Ayoub, was here. I saw him, he and his wife, Michelle, and they're in the meet and greet line. They're actually going to be able to shake his hand.
Yeah, it's a pretty small grouping over there, but this is something he hasn't previously done, which is a quick meet and greet with some local residents. And based on the scrambling by the White House press corps and by the Secret Service, I'm not altogether sure this was a planned meet and greet.
No, I don't think he's done this before, Gino. I think he just has shaken the hands of the mayor and got into the vehicle.
Yeah, so I think this is a surprise.
He is happy to be here.
For many of the folks here. All right, we're getting this shot the best we can here from the angle. But again, the president shaking some hands, big smile and a wave to the press here on the tarmac. And it looks like this is a man who is definitely ready to play a little golf and enjoy Palm Springs for the next 3 days, a little presidential R&R.
Yeah, but you know, and what I was going to say was I didn't see any of his working staff, like Valerie Jarrett.
No White House Chief of Staff.
Yeah, so that he is not here to work if he doesn't have those people with him.
Yeah, and if he doesn't have to, but like you mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter where he is, the job goes with him.
Well, you're back. That's absolutely right.
All right, so the president is inside the SUV as part of the motorcade.
Chevy Suburban with the reinforced doors. You can see that just by looking at it. We think he's going to Thunderbird Heights Country Club to stay at the home of Michael Smith, who decorated the Oval Office, and his partner James Costos, who is the ambassador to Spain. James Costos, the former HBO executive who raised $3.5 million for Mr. Obama.
That's right.
They have an 11,000 square foot house, so I think they can accommodate a guest for the weekend.
Yeah, and how important do you think it is to the Secret Service to go to places where they're familiar, where they've laid, lines before, where they know the surroundings and are comfortable with their ability to protect the president?
I think it helps a lot, and also the fact that I am told that Michael Smith has a heliport at his house. Is that true?
Yes, we've heard that. Yeah, there is a helicopter landing pad at the airport, and that, at Michael Smith's place, and that it could certainly accommodate that. But it looks like now that the president is going to actually take the motorcade. They're heading out of the airport and heading certainly in the general direction of Rancho Mirage. All right, again, so there
and this is let's get.
Yeah, we're going to get Mayor Steve Pounier up here, who is the only one really who was here to greet the president. We'll talk to him and find out what exactly the president said to him, and maybe he's got some insight on the plans. Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Gino.
How are you?
Good.
So, you spoke with the president?
I did. I did.
And what do you have to say?
Well, first, he's very relaxed.
Yes.
And the nice thing is he came down the thing, he said, hello, Steve, how are you again? So that was nice. So called me Steve, which was
Must
terrific.
make you feel good?
It did make me feel good. But he's very relaxed, and certainly I told him I'd love it that he spent more time here in retirement, and wish he would buy a house here, and he didn't make a commitment, but he had a big smile on his face, so hopefully...
He didn't give you any indication?
He did not, but he certainly loves the desert. There is no doubt about it. Yeah. He loves the desert.
Any indication where he was headed right now?
I did not ask him that. He asked me about my run this morning, so then he asked how fast I ran, and then he goes, oh, I can keep up with you. I said, oh, Mr. President. So...
no, but President, I'd let you win.
Yeah, no. I think he's going to enjoy a little bit of golf right now with some of his friends, and definitely he was in a different attire than I've seen him before. And he said, Mayor, you're all dressed up, and I'm relaxed. And I said, you know what, enjoy your golf game, relax a little bit. You're in Palm Springs, have some fun, and just enjoy yourself. It was nice. Got a couple of minutes with him.
What does this mean for the Valley to have these presidential visits?
It's wonderful for all of us. Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, the entire valley. I mean, look at when you have Air Force One with the backdrop right here, what we're all looking at, and this is going to get branded, all over the country and all over the world, streamed all over the world. It's fabulous for our destination. The president's been here, 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years? 4 times? And that's terrific. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, but you have a president in your town enjoying himself. Hank, it just doesn't get any better than that. And as the mayor, I'm proud that I got the honor to greet him, welcome him, tell him to have a good time, relax, and enjoy our beautiful destination and our golf courses.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It always is. I was saying to someone earlier, it never gets boring. I mean, the minute Air Force One lands, and then you see it roll around, the main terminal, and then parked here, it's like, wow, the world's most powerful person is right here, in our town, and that's a good thing. Always a good thing. Yeah.
All right, Mayor Steve Pounier,
Thank
thank
you
you so much.
Guys, very much. Okay.
Nice to see you.
You bet. Now I'm going to take off my tie.
All right, so there you have it, Mayor Pounier, the greeter really for the entire Coachella Valley.
Well, he tried to get the information out of him that every news person in the Valley wants to get, which is, are you going to buy a house here? It sounds like he got a grin, but no commitment.
And no denial.
And no denial.
He did not deny that was possible.
We'll go with no denial, yeah.
Right, and we've talked a lot about it, actually, that the president couldn't possibly actually purchase a home while still in office.
Well, it would make him a lame duck. Once you start doing something like that, it would make him a lame duck. So, but listen, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. So here's that beautiful plane behind us. It's going to be here all weekend. People can come out and take pictures of it. And what an absolute thrill to have it here.
So there it is. Air Force One is down. The president is in the motorcade heading in the general direction of Rancho Mirage, which is all we really know for sure. But always an exciting moment.
Yeah.
The president came off the plane, did something he hadn't done previously, which was greet some people, do a handshake and a meet and greet with some locals. It looked like a handful of families mostly, and of course a doctor friend of yours.
Yeah, my friend Dr. Edmund Ayoub was over there. And news people, you get to meet presidents, you get senators and candidates, but I think for most people, this is something they will be telling their grandchildren. The time they got to meet a president of the United States.
And a great picture with
shaking how exciting. Everybody's got selfies these days, right? And so how exciting for them. I'm really happy that he went over and did that.
All right, so President Obama is here in the Coachella Valley. He's en route to what we believe to be Rancho Mirage, specifically Thunderbird Heights. I suppose Larry Ellison's place at Porcupine Creek is also a possibility, especially if he does have a tee time. And this looked like a man headed for a golf course. We will, of course, have complete wrap-up for you tonight on the KMIR News at 6. We'll have a complete wrap for you tonight at 6 o'clock and again at 11 o'clock. But for Hank Plant, I'm Gino Lamont, live from Palm Springs International Airport. POTUS is in the desert and headed for a weekend of relaxation. We send you back now to
President's Day weekend.
President's Day weekend. It's his weekend, and he chose to be here. We're going to send you back now to regularly scheduled programming. We'll see you tonight at 6.
This is a KMIR special news coverage of President Obama in the Valley.